Hello, guys. How are you?
Hey,
Hey, guys.
I'm doing great today.
You
Doing great.
guys.
I'm doing great today.
You doing well?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
We've got some curtains in the office here, which even if you're watching YouTube, you can't see them. Maybe
Yes.
across the other side.
Now, here's what you might be able to see. Over the next couple weeks, it's a long time coming. We're just improving our studio space and production quality, and
Cool.
yeah.
You got
the
it.
quality will
YouTube.
increase.
Yeah. Well,
Did you get a full-time makeup artist?
Truthfully, this podcast gets the short end of the production stick when it comes to video. So we got all these cool cameras and things that we use for other videos.
Two things you definitely need: makeup and wardrobe, and craft services. You got those?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Kraft mac and cheese.
I'll crash. You ever crash the craft services?
I actually did.
Yeah.
Only 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
There
You
was
just you walk on a set.
We
and-
had a little office space in Oakland that we were renting,
Oh, cool.
and I was visiting there, and I go in, and it looks like an Apple store. Took the entire our office is gone, and I'm like, what in the world? So I know the owner of the building. It looks like an Apple store. I know the owner, but I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, they're filming a movie. I rented it out to film the movie. They took away our entire office. He's like, you guys can work upstairs while they're filming the movie. So like Wanda Sykes, and what was the other actor, are downstairs, and they're going through, and they rebuilt the front of the building, put this like movie glass, and they crashed a car through the front of our building.
Jeez.
To end it.
Crashing into Apple Store.
Yeah, it was an Apple store, and the movie's already out. It's like it was has to do with a cell phone, like basically Siri that went crazy. I forget the name of it. Anyway, they had like nice craft services outside, and yeah,
Cool.
helped myself quite a bit because I had no place to sit.
You got free lunch.
Yeah.
Free lunch. There's no free lunch in this world. But unless you're at a
Speaking
craft
of that,
services.
Speaking of free lunch, I don't know. I was trying to find a segue there. Didn't work too well. We were talking before we turned the mics on about experiences that we all have. And Brad, you've had one recently with your dentist that you were expounding on.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a good conversation to talk about in the context of agency life and entrepreneurship and
Yeah.
business. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think this morning's discussion is going to be about time and how we all use our time and productivity, and everyone's different, but I'm a big user of what they call the time box, and so I don't have a list of tasks that I have to accomplish during the beginning of the week. If I do, I have to block them in my calendar, even if I block them throughout every single day of the week to work on. Otherwise, it just doesn't get done because I just run out of time. And I think that's kind of the frustration is prioritizing your time. And I'd be interested to hear about how you guys manage your priorities and time, and what do you do with the stuff that you can't get to, and how do you feel if you can't get to it, and how do you prioritize to make sure, as Ken, you're running a business, and Bob, you're in a really role that you oversee a lot of people and things, and a lot of moving parts. How do you not get sucked into the needs that are there, especially as a business owner, the needs that are there that you need to do for the client's sake, but at the same time it eliminates you, or maybe circumvents some of the things you had already planned that is more focused on the business. And I kind of say sometimes I'm like the Tim Cook of CEO of Apple that often is behind the Genius Bar trying to service clients that are coming in or customers that are coming in, because I'm very customer focused and I want to do that, but then what happens is I lose my priority of the bigger picture and be able to drive my business, and it hurts my business over a year or two, because now I'm less on new business, I'm less on other things that are just as important, because I'm trying to put out fires during the day that are also important. And how do you say no to things and let some of your other colleagues and employees take over and fill in that gap and see that gap? And so for me, time is really important.
well, yeah.
And I was talking to you guys
Everybody.
yesterday about a situation I had where, and if you're in healthcare, I apologize right now because I have a problem with the way healthcare works typically, and I have some trauma that I've had in the past where I've literally been left for an hour in a exam room for my doctor, and the nurses forgot about me. Literally, they said, "We're so sorry, we forgot about you," and I'm like, "You left me in the room for an hour, forgot about me, and you didn't tell the doctor I was in there. Therefore, you just wasted an hour of my day." And so then how does that, and I often feel to myself, am I just so tightly wound and am I so selfish with my time that I can't allow a mistake to enter into an hour of my day? I don't know, but it happened yesterday. It happened yesterday at the dentist, and I don't know if I handled it correctly, but I handled it.
Well, I think you gave good feedback.
Yeah.
Apparently,
well, let me tell you this. Look, tell the users the story.
Look, if I were going to be a doctor, I would make it so that it was the most awesome place to go to, and people got in and out on time.
Yeah,
and I would make $1 billion.
There are two things that will bring people back to their healthcare providers. Two things that are super important. It's number one is empathy. The number one reasons why people see their doctor is they feel like their doctor is empathetic to what's going on. That's number one. Number two is time. They get them in, they treat them respectful, they can make an appointment and get in there on time. And if you don't have those two things, right, you're going to lose your customers. So anyways,
most people don't have those two things.
So anyways, I walk into my dentist just for a cleaning, right? And I check myself in, and about 5 minutes after I was sitting down, and by the way, there's a big room, but there's only 3 people waiting, me and 2 other people, and we're close together. It's not like we're spread out all over the place. We're right in front of the people that check you in. There's 2 of them. They're looking right at you the whole time. About 5 minutes into it, 10 minutes, the woman that checked me in, she said, your hygienist is going to running 20 minutes late. Is that okay? And I said, yeah, that's okay. I had an appointment that still allowed me enough time to get done and get to my appointment. Well, 20 minutes went by, 30 minutes went by, 35, 40, 45 minutes went by. They're literally staring at you. There's only 3 people in the room, but yet they never once update me. I walk up to the booth, and I walk up and I said, I just wanted to, and as soon as I walk up, the woman said, "May I help you?" As if I just walked in the door. Like she didn't know who I was. And I said, "Well, yeah, you just checked me in, and I've been waiting here for, you said 20 minutes. Now it's been 45 minutes, almost 50 minutes. And she had to look me up again in the computer and go, "Oh yeah, your hygienist is still 10 minutes or 20 minutes out." So it was with an hour. And then I go in and I gave the dentist a piece of my mind. And, he apologized, but I said, what you did to me was just like if I invited somebody over at a certain time, put that person out on my porch and said, "I'll be back in 20 minutes. And then 20 minutes goes by, nothing happens. And in about 45 minutes, they're ringing my doorbell, and I open the doorbell and say, "Who are you?"
You did that to me last week, man.
I know. Like if you did that to a client, if a client came to meet you at 10:30 in the morning and you put them in a conference room, shut the door, and just said, "Oh, just give me a minute," and then an hour later they're still sitting there, and then you go in and you say, "Oh, what? Oh, I'm so sorry. Who are you?"
Well, this is the thing.
What do you think they'll do?
Look, I'm not bagging on healthcare, but it's broken.
Because I'm paying them for that.
And it's broken, and if every business ran the way a healthcare hospital or doctor's office or the average ran, most businesses would be out of business.
Yes.
Therein lies the opportunity for, if you are in healthcare or doctors, you could elevate your business tremendously by just kind of meeting the quality on some of these levels, right? I get there's quality in the product, and skill is really, really important. I get there's variables, so it's not exactly the same. But man, if the experience was about the same, you're right. You'd probably be losing clients. Let
me ask you this question.
If it was a restaurant, for instance. Now, again, I want to just be clear though. It is someone cutting someone open or working on a mouth. It's a little bit more experience driven, But the business, I don't know if it
So-
could be run better.
So my hygienist, she knew she was so limited in time. She sat there with that little metal thing and scrape your teeth. Like she was going like a mile a minute. Like my mouth was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then she flossed. Guess what she didn't do? She didn't do the polish. She forgot the polish. And guess what?
It's all about
You
the
didn't
polish.
get
when
the polish.
and when I got- and
I
they-
noticed your
well,
teeth were not so
And
shiny
I was
today.
supposed to get the fluoride treatment. Guess what? The
No
dentist
fluoride
said,
treatment.
we'll have to do that next time because we ran out of time.
Yeah. We
Guess
ran
what?
out of time.
Yeah, exactly. Guess what happened then? Then they marched me to the
Did they
payment.
charge you less?
No, they charged me exactly the same without the
Right.
polish.
Right.
And I walked down and I said, wait a second, I just paid full price and they even forgot the polish. The polish is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like, right? I didn't need to floss. I can floss all day long myself. I can't polish my
Is this
teeth.
a healthcare episode? Because I can go further on this one.
I know.
I don't want
So the question is though, is that after I gave my dentist a piece of my mind, and he may lose my business, to be honest with you. I felt like if more people said that to him, that maybe there
Right.
could be changes.
Right.
But I realized that he's like me. I actually walked out feeling very empathetic toward him and almost sorry for him because I feel like I see myself in him. And it's like, and the challenge is like, he's the dentist. He's got he's running a business too. So he's a
Right.
dentist, he's a practitioner, plus he's running a business, right? And he's like going from room to room checking on patients, but yet how can you fix, like, I know you can fix issues, but there's always going to be issues. Like, and he may lose my business, right? And so I struggle with the same thing. I
Well,
struggle with
dentists-
trying to run a business and also making sure our clients are satisfied and feeling like they're serviced.
Well, I just think that it's a good analogy, and it's not bad to dissect because a dentist or a doctor, very similar to a lot of small agencies where you're working, you have to run the business and you have to be the main proprietor of the business.
Yes.
Right? People come to see you, and that is something that's a challenge, right? Like you almost can't work out of that way, right? If people come to see Dentist Bob, and then Dentist Bob goes away, says, "Hey, I'm going to delegate this to my apprentice."
Yeah.
He probably loses a good chunk of his loyal customer base because
Yeah.
they want Dentist Bob, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of lessons here. There's obviously good customer service / the way you treat your customers. But I would just say there's a deeper thing going on here that I've observed over the past year and a half, 2 years, post-pandemic, even pre-pandemic. But I've been saying this a long time, that there's 3 industries that have been the last bastions of holdouts that have not been affected by the digital paradigm shift of the internet and everything else that we've experienced the past 20 years. And that's finance, higher education, and healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Finance has fallen for the most part. You and I can go online and do all of our banking. We can do our investments. We don't have to leave the comfort of our home. We don't even have to talk to anyone. I can buy health insurance now without ever seeing anyone. I can get mortgage insurance. I can get a mortgage. All of that I can do as a customer by myself online. And so the industry has evolved and adapted. Education has been forced into that through the pandemic and even pre that. And they're still struggling, but for the most part, there are ways that people can get degrees without ever leaving the comfort of their home. There are ways that people can teach and engage with that. But healthcare has been the last one because of what you said. It's like there's this expertise and there's this long 200-year experience of doctor and patient. Now the patient has become the customer, has become the consumer, and the healthcare industry doesn't quite know what to do with that, because the doctor, like you experienced, and their staff has never had to treat someone as a customer, as a consumer. They are patients, which means a patient comes and gets services from the expert who doles it out
As they see fit.
As they see fit, and you are privileged to come to them. Now, whether that's conscious or unconscious, that's the way our healthcare industry has been run. But now things are starting to flip-flop. And
Well-
like you said, Brad, it's like 10, 15 years ago, would would you have been as ticked off then as you are now? And I would argue probably not.
Maybe not.
Because
Yeah.
there was an expectation of, well, they're the doctor and this is just what you do.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and sit here. But now I have options and
Sure.
I can have control of my own healthcare. I'm not relying solely on the doctor.
That is true, and I think that I'm a big fan of teledoc only because two things: it creates competition because now I can see a doctor, now not a dentist, because I know there's certain physical things that you need to go into and they need to check you out and stuff like that. But for a lot of healthcare, I can see a doctor anywhere in the country, and I can choose somebody better,
And your time is more efficient.
and they're going to show up.
We know when you have a doctor's appointment, you have to like block out a day. Like you have
Correct.
to take a day off to do something that you hate.
Correct.
For most people, right?
And they have to show up on the time. If they don't show up, they don't get paid.
yeah.
So if you schedule a teledoc and they're set, you schedule it, and like as soon as you jump on, about 3 minutes later, they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm running late. I'm going to be about an hour." What are you going to do? Tick, check off, done.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. I got things to do. So it creates more of a business environment that now doctors have to play into, and they better show up on time, otherwise they're not getting paid.
Well, I think yeah.
That's what we need to do to the healthcare. We need to force that because they've taken advantage of their position. And I've worked with doctors my whole life. I've worked, on doctor reality shows when in my 20s, and some of them have they think a lot about themselves.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's that God complex. And
they do.
Not all doctors are
Not
like
all
that.
doctors. No. I'm not saying pointing a picture, but I'm just saying that the healthcare industry needs to change.
Yeah.
And it's going to change, and consumers are going to demand that it changes at some level.
So let me flip this to the positive for a second.
Yeah,
'cause I
sorry,
think there's-
I'm so negative. And I'm not trying to be angry. I'm not angry,
No,
Brad,
I'm not
this
saying
morning.
that you're being negative. I'm just saying there's more to get out of this, but like I'm just trying to flip it the other way, because one of the things that every business wants is to be so desired that people are willing to wait in line for them.
Yeah.
And this started as a time conversation. It'll that is still the case, and maybe it'll even end more practically on time, management and things. But your time, and a lot of people don't realize this yet, but I think more and more people are. Like I teach it to my son. I'm like, of all the resources, time is the only one you can't get back. Like of all of them, right? You can, and you're taught to be flip-flopped, right? You're taught to make money the most important thing. Money is renewable. Money is relatively easy to make, right? But time, no one can get back, right? And so if I ask most people, like, would you rather me waste your time or your money? They'd say money, right? But truthfully, wasting someone's time is stealing their life, right? It's taking, like, and so
that's how I feel, and I
that's
think
how I know.
think
That's
I'm
why
bent.
I'm saying
I think
it,
I'm bent that way, though.
because you clearly, and you've said this before, like you have more of a focus there. But that's just more. I mean, to me, I'm like, that's just reality. Like you're just probably more aware than most people are of it. But it's not a bad thing because it's the truth, right? Like you can't get it back. Now, what I was going to say is I think there's more to get out of, to squeeze out of the doctor thing, because like most businesses, like our businesses, you want people to be waiting in line, willing to waste their time or spend their time to get your services. And so the question I have in flipping the doctor and dentist thing is, what are the reasons that you're willing to wait 50 minutes? Other than, let's try and, are there things we can learn? Because aside from the I think the big part of it, which is like we just accept that as part of the healthcare system, unfortunately. But like aside from that, let's assume that you didn't have to accept that. Like, what makes you wait for a certain guy, a certain dentist? Like, is there anything that you can take from that and apply to your business to say, okay? Because here's the deal.
Yeah,
we've had episodes like this before. I think our first episode was, what is your superpower? Right? Every agency and maybe every business out there, but every agency should have, like, they probably have one superpower, like one thing. I have a mentor of mine that calls it your unfair advantage. And there's actually a book written by someone called that. The thing is, like, how do you figure out, like, what is your unfair advantage in the marketplace that only you have and leverage that? And the theory is if you leverage that correctly, you're the only guy that can do that or gal that can do that thing. So people that want that thing and want the best would be willing to wait in line for it. When we all understand the reality of this, like we all have that. Everyone has that unfair advantage. Everyone has one, right? They just may not be using it. But practically speaking, you know, day to day, you're getting measured up against 15 different people and like price shopped and all these different things, right? The paradigm's actually reversed. It's like the opposite of the dentist office right now.
Well, it's expertise. I think it's pretty simple. It's expertise, right? Like
Thank you, Bob.
There's not that many dentists. Like you can't go. Unfortunately, you can't say.
But is it?
It's been 25 minutes.
fame?
Forget it. I'm going next door because he can get me right in. Right?
Yeah, it's not like a
thing.
restaurant where
It's not like Amazon.com.
yeah, where you have.
But is it assumed that all dentists have the same expertise? Do some have something more that you'd be willing to wait for?
I found that, for instance, just going back to my
I think
dentist.
it's problem related.
Yeah.
Like if I have a heart condition, I had a friend, actually a friend and a client. He had a very surprise heart condition like 6 years ago. It just so happened that the top person for this thing in the world happened to be here on that day, and that's, in his opinion, why he's still living. It's expertise, but it's not just generic expertise. It's not just like you're a doctor.
Oh, it's the expertise that you're there for.
It's not like you're just a marketer. It's like, I'm going to go to Bob Hutchins because he does this thing best.
If I was going to a specific doctor, that like a specialist surgeon that I had to wait an hour for before I had some really technical procedure that only that person I felt comfortable would do, well, that's one thing. But to wait for to get your teeth cleaned, like, you know, they have probably 20 hygienists there. It's not rocket science to me.
So what?
Even though I value them, because I tell you what, it does make a difference, right? I mean, the same place I used to go to had our favorite hygienist. She was incredibly awesome. And literally, we're thinking about driving 50 minutes to go see her, to go to her dentist. She would take us there because the dentist doesn't do anything. He just looks at me and checks out everything and says, oh, yeah, you need to get another crown, you know, another this or that or whatever, right? He doesn't really do anything. It's the hygienists who really actually make it happen at the dentistry, unless you're doing some type of surgery or something. So they didn't offer anything that I couldn't get yet, but I can't get in very quickly.
So just to kind of break some of that down, like to pull some away from that for us is, one, the thing that someone's coming to you with is very important. And I know that sounds obvious, but I don't know when you dial it down to agencies that everyone's aware of it. Like, is someone just looking for someone to run their Facebook ads, or someone have this specific problem in the specific niche that has a high value attached to it? Like, that's something, they're different.
Yeah.
You know? Then the second thing is, I think on the point of expertise, like you have to get really good at something and something specific, right? Like you can't just be everything to everyone and expect to be the one that people wait in line for.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is, I think you need to, and you have to do this in a kind of a non-arrogant way, I think, for it to be effective, but you essentially need to be famous for that thing. Right? And so I think if you can do those three things, determine what the problem is, be really, really good at solving that problem, the best in the world, and become famous for that problem, you can have a line out your door.
But are you saying though that gives you the right to
no
to
treat people badly?
Yes, to treat people's time badly, to assume that you have all the time in the world for me.
No. But I do think that hey, the magic is when you still have a really good customer experience.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
Well, I mean, if you look at like Apple used to have lines out the door when they're releasing a new product, but people chose.
That was a pain in the neck.
They camp out, but they chose to do that.
But
that's
they fixed it. My point is they fixed. But think about this, because there were the super fans that were willing to camp out, right? Then there were like the 80% of people which just wanted the new iPhone.
Yeah.
But like they were not enjoying standing in line. That was me.
Yeah.
I remember that. Like we went to the Green Hills thing, right? It would take a few hours. You have to. I didn't like it. Apple didn't just say, "Oh, well, we're just going to keep it that way because that's the best thing." No, they went and fixed it. Now you can buy it. Like before, it was like common to do. Like they let you buy it on the app and like do all these things where you didn't have to wait in line, right? that pursuit, I think, is how you get to be like diamond
Yeah.
quality.
But what
You
they
know?
did is they still gave you back your time.
Yeah.
A customer should always say, what I'm selling is always going to be time with my product, no matter what product it is. It's always going to be time. That's what is sold on every single product. Service is there's a bit, even if they don't say it is, there's still time involved there. Or either they give you back time or they make things easier for you, right?
Brad, let me ask you a question.
Or
Everything.
they multiply your time.
Correct. Or they give you more time.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If the doctor would have come out at some point within that hour period, let's say they told you 20 and at 35 minutes, he came out and said, "Hey everyone, I'm so sorry. I know I'm behind. I apologize. Here's what's going on.
Yeah.
Is there anyone here who absolutely can't wait and is willing to, and is there anyone else who's willing to give up their spot?" And just kind of shuffled people around. If he came out and said that,
Yes.
how would you have felt?
Oh, I would have loved it. It wasn't that I had to wait. I just didn't have a choice.
Right.
And I was literally hoodwinked and lied to. And somebody who was sitting right in front of me for 50 minutes who saw me couldn't even think that maybe they told me 20 minutes and maybe it's been longer than that and maybe somebody should address that.
Yeah.
And that was the challenge. And so you feel disrespected. And I think that's the key is that when my time is feeling like I have all the time in the world. And another thing that Dennis didn't do, hey, Brad, I'm going to comp this one for you today.
Right.
Because I didn't actually polish, which is the whole reason why I go there. And I can't fit you in to do a fluoride treatment today. So I'm going to comp you instead of charging me full price like nothing happened.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think there's lots of lessons to this.
There's lots of lessons. Yeah, I'm looking at that and I'm going, well, maybe this is something that's meant to be because, it helps me. And it really helps me to understand how do we deal with our clients and things like that.
But the simple little thing, like one little simple thing could have avoided us even having this conversation today, which would have been the doctor going, this is the awareness and the empathy, why it's important, is realizing, hey, I've got a broken system. I don't know that I can fix it right now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go out. I'm going to take 45 seconds at, half past the hour every single, and so I'll do it 6 times today to go out and say what I just said. So I'm going to set my alarm, and at 1:30, I'm going to go out there and say, hey, I'm sorry, we're behind. Here's what's going on. Is there anyone that needs to blah, blah, blah? I'm going to do it again at 1:30. I'm going to do it again. And no pissed off customers. Actually, that would take down the level of all your employees because they're not going to have to deal with angry employees and they're not going to have to feel stressed and rushed. Simple fix. Yes. Simple fix. And so it's just having a little bit more empathy and awareness of your customers.
Yeah. And I think that's something to take, I don't know how you guys schedule your time and what happens. Like, tell me what happens to you guys when you have something that you have to get done. It's priority one. And then something comes in and interrupts your day and you find out like that time slot or whatever that you were dedicating gets circumvented with some fire or something. How do you guys manage that? Are you pretty flexible with that? Do you give it a lot
I'm
of
very
grace?
flexible. I'm the opposite of you, meaning I love task lists. To me, it's like a challenge at the beginning of the day and I've learned to not be realistic and put too many things in that need to be done. But at the beginning of the day, I will write down like these are the 4 things that I have to get done today. And so for me, it's more of like a game, like, okay, I can get these done. And sometimes I need to have a little bit more of time management because sometimes I can go, in my mind, the back of my head, I'm like, that's going to take 30 minutes. So I don't have to, I can have a little wiggle room to go, as long as I give myself 30 minutes, I can do that task today. So that can get a little out of hand. However, to block off time for me and go, okay, I'm going to block off an hour here and an hour here and 30 minutes. I do that for important meetings and tasks, but that's a little bit too restrictive to me because I have to have the freedom to kind of move. And also, if I Maybe it's my FOMO, but I also like to have room in my schedule to entertain things that might come up that I need to attend to, or maybe something that I didn't anticipate comes up. So.
Yeah. For me, it's like I hate having to chase squeaky wheels. So I'm the type of person, I try to be on top, proactive. And I think there's some people who literally their whole day is they're prioritizing based on who's the more squeaky wheel, right? So if a customer is complaining, they put something off that they know needs to get done because that customer isn't driving them, but they might be getting emails from another customer that they prioritize because there's a squeaky wheel. And I try not to live my life like that, because otherwise you're just completely reactive. And I can't live. That's not who I'm built. Some people they like that. That's the only way they get stuff done. They like, because they're able to please that customer and they want to make sure everybody's good, right? That's not me. I need that time to be able to focus and really get into something, to put my head into it, to really feel like I'm doing, and to see the benefits of it. Otherwise, I can't just do a task list. Task lists don't satisfy me. I'm not into just getting stuff done and go, oh great, I checked out all the boxes off. A lot of people do work that way.
See,
Bob.
for me, at the end of the day, if I've checked off all my boxes, I feel like I've had a productive day.
Yeah.
Because I set out to say, these are the things that are most important for me to get done.
Yeah.
And I did them.
Yeah.
And if I did it in half the time, wow, all the better. Then I can go play.
And that's true. But for me, it's
Or I can do more things.
For me, it's about the results. To me, it's not about what I checked off, but did the results make a difference in what I did? And sometimes, for me, what I found is just by checking the boxes, it's very self-filling. It's like, oh, I was able to get this stuff done, but did I do a good job at it? Did it make a difference? Did it impact a client? Did it impact anybody's life? And that's, to me, I guess, the most important thing. So I have a challenge with that. So that's why
I'm sort of in the middle between you guys. And so as I'm listening, one, I believe, I think no matter what your personality is, in order to get something done, you need to focus on it. Right. So somehow you have to figure out how that happens, whether it's a task list or a time block. I think, but for a lot of people, I don't think they focus on anything.
Right.
And I think when you're chasing fires, which a lot of agencies do, I think that causes that. I think in order to focus, I do believe, because, I manage a good chunk of people. So they're all different personality types, but I can see in order to focus, you need to develop the discipline muscle to not chase squeaky wheels.
Right.
Which again is hard in agencies, because someone's like, oh, this thing is all, the website's down, or the marketing campaign, whatever, at any time. And so one of the things that I try to do early on, because I kind of have that, with my customer in mind, truly, I look at it as, okay, I'm going to decide if this is an emergency or not you. And I think that has to be the decision in every agency. And I think when you take that back, I think in order to have a successful, peaceful, well-balanced agency or any service business, I think you need to take that back. You need to take ownership of what we're going to do and when, and based on our decision making.
Be the thermostat, not the thermometer.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, because the client is always right is the worst, is not the case in agency world. I think it's the fastest place to everyone being unhappy, them not getting what they want. In fact, a lot of times one of the benefits of hiring us, which we talk about, is despite all the distractions that you have, we're going to get you you're going to be on rails, and this thing is going to launch successfully. We're going to pull you over that line. Or this is going to get done. This initiative is going to get done. I'm not saying it's going to be as, not predicting success or anything, but so anyway, I think that you need to take that back. No matter who you are. For me personally, I look at, I do think that there's and I'd be curious to know, in the task list, because I sort of in between, I like making sure, I'm looking back and getting things done. And, that's satisfying. In fact, it's important, I believe. But I also think that things don't get done unless you make time for things to get done.
Right.
Correct.
And so some form of scheduling that thing has to happen. I believe like if it's not scheduled, it probably won't get done. That just comes from fitness for me. Like you know, the age old kind of thing about like, you know, building muscle, losing weight, that kind of thing is like, you're not going to, like, if you don't schedule the gym, you are not going to the gym.
Correct.
Period. You could want to go to the gym. You could buy the gym membership. You could say, if you don't put it on the calendar, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the case with some things. I would be curious to know, like, there are probably tasks in your list, because I'm thinking they're in mind, like things you're excited to do, things you're not excited to do. The things you're not excited to do might have to be the things that like you intentionally make time for. Okay, I'm going to do this at 1 o'clock no matter what. I don't know. But for me, like, I need to do that. And what's really helped me is time blocking, but not necessarily just from the standpoint of areas. Like I'm going to, so, you know, to not get pulled into a billion things, I don't always stick to this. My intent is, you know, a certain part of the day is when I get pulled into stuff. Like I leave that open, like questions, whatever, like that is the area. If it doesn't get done in that area, like it doesn't get done until tomorrow's time, you know, to get pulled into stuff. And then, so time blocks being essentially 10 time blocks, you know, five morning, 5 afternoon. That's what works for me. The last thing I would say is, Brad, to your point of measuring things only by the result, because I can feel that, my only kind of reflection back would be like, sometimes I imagine the result is like you know, 100 focused steps, right? So like, to move down that path, like you're gonna have to be doing things that don't feel like they did anything, and because I experienced that, and so you have to have the awareness of like, you know, not just measuring it by the result, because the result may not be there, and you might just give up on that thing that took, you know, the 100 steps to get to the result, versus the result being there and you know, immediately.
Yeah. And I like. Again, I don't mind checking off lists if I know they're moving something to the right direction. I just don't want to get in the habit of checking off the list like for me, like it's I've done my thing, and though none of it's been done well. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about, for me, it's just not check. I just don't get fulfilled by checking off a list if I don't know there's been any real energy put into it, like enough energy, because I think sometimes that I have some people, I think, in my life that sometimes are checklisters, and I find that they actually skimp around things. They don't do as good as they could because and sometimes it's not good enough. Like they don't care enough about it, that they just want to get it done. You know, like a widget or something like that. And I don't know, it's hard for me to
the magic is that for me is, it's not about just checking things off. It's about to your point, it's about knowing what to put on that list.
Yes, prioritizing
what will move. Yeah. Because there's a billion things I can put on a list if all I want to do is check off lists. But that's not the point.
And I'm not saying Bob, I'm not trying to. I understand the list thing. I understand
but that's true. That is a true point.
Yeah, and there's a pleasure that you get out of that when you feel, and that's one of the things that I deal with a lot is like I'm kicking things that are priorities down the road. And people are saying, okay, where's this? Where's that? You know, because I have accountability too. I'm a business owner, but you know, no business owners really, you know, they have clients and those are their bosses. And so I've got sometimes, and I hate saying, you know what, next week, it'll be next week. I hate pushing things off too many times to the point where they don't feel like, okay, you're just kind of blowing smoke. You're not really getting to that very quickly. You know what I mean? And so I feel like maybe that's my challenge a lot of times, is that I challenge keeping things out of my schedule. And I have people have my calendar, so they put stuff in my thing. So I literally block it out specifically so that there's no room. Or if there's very little here and there. Otherwise they would fill it up and I would be involved in a lot of things I probably shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Have you guys ever read Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art?
No.
I would encourage you to pick it up. It's not that thick. And he talks right to the center of this conversation. And he talks a lot about, he's a writer and a creative. And so the war of art, don't be confused by the term art. It's creativity. And so it could be entrepreneurship. It could be a writer. It could be a designer. It could be, whatever. But the war he talks about is we all have, he calls it the resistance. And the resistance is a thing that's in every single one of us. He says you have the muse. These are just metaphors. The muse is that creativity, that flow that we get in when you block off time and you're like, the muse comes and you're like, I'm just in the zone and I am doing this really, really well, whatever it may be. It could be very creative or it could just be some kind of business thing. But in all of us, there's that war going on of the resistance that's resisting that for whatever reason that may be. We fight it every day. It could be time, our feeling of lack of time. It could be distractions. It could be technology. It could be, relationships, whatever. That resistance is always there to pull against this muse that wants to get in the flow and be, the best version of yourself, whatever that may be. And so that book talks about that. And it's pretty easy. It's what we've been saying here. His like, you've got to block off the time. You've got to sit your butt in the chair and you have got to do it in order to attract that muse. Otherwise, you can't just wait for the feeling or go, oh, I'm not in the mood, or I'm going to just go do something else until I can, get in the flow because my head's not in it. All of those things, he says, that's the resistance. And so it's just a matter of doing it and doing it every day, even when you don't think you're seeing the results, even when you don't think you're, doing it to the best of your ability. But the fact of getting in the game and being there and getting your butt in the chair and doing it, that's when you start to find that flow and that productivity. And you can look back and see those things.
Well, and also there's, a lot of people would say that emotion follows action. Right. And we always worry, we wait for the inspiration, we wait, but action
he says the
comes
opposite.
first.
He says the opposite. Inspiration comes from action.
Yes.
Right. And it's case in everything. And if you don't, when you get up in the morning, you don't always feel like doing the workout. You do the workout. 5 minutes in, you start to feel like doing the workout. Yeah. And then it kind of continues.
3 days later, your body's asking you for the workout. Literally, right? It's fighting you the first 3 days, but once you get in that rhythm routine,
it's action first.
It's asking for it.
I think if I try and tell myself this, but like if more people realize that, I think more people would do more things. Because you feel like I want to wait for the feeling. And that's even true with relationships. Like I don't feel the love right now, so maybe it's over, but like acting in the way of that creates the emotion.
I think it's a part and parcel of our culture the last 20 years that and you may disagree with this next statement I'm going to say, but hear me out. I think there's this prioritization of success and passion, and everyone's trying to say I've got to follow success and pursue success, and I've got to follow my passion, whatever that may be. And Viktor Frankl said something, I don't know, 75 years ago or whatever. He said, do not follow success or do not pursue success, but actually follow purpose. And when you follow, and don't even follow happiness, he says, don't pursue happiness, pursue purpose and meaning. And when you pursue and involved in purpose and meaning, passion will ensue.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that.
Happiness will ensue, and success may or may not ensue. Yeah. But if we're always focusing on those things, I think it puts us in this conundrum that we've been talking about. Like, purpose is what's most important, and then those other things will follow. But if I'm chasing success, if I'm chasing what's my one passion in life, I've got a bazillion passions.
Well, those are all empty,
right? And
when you get there, right? If you're doing something, a lot of people would say, especially, in certain circles, like if you're doing something inside of your purpose, you're feeling the fulfillment of that, and we all know people that make tons of money and are unhappy,
right?
And that everyone should know that. But it doesn't mean you can't be happy and pursue happiness alongside. But personally, I mean, I look back to my grandfather and anyone listening to their grandparents, like, generations ago, and they did what they had to do to do what they had to do. They wasn't like, I don't know if I feel like working 3 jobs today.
This is not my passion.
The taxi driving today, it's not exactly within my passion. I mean, it was just, you did it. And while there's no one answer, but I think there's a positive side to that. Like making yourself do something, take action, and move towards those purpose and passions and happinesses, but don't wait for those things.
Right.
Because
don't make them the main focus of your life.
And that is an ideal. And someone like, Tony Robbins would say, like, if you measure your life against an ideal, you'll always be unhappy.
That's good.
And I don't know if that's him or Jim Rohn, but like one of those guys.
Michael Scott,
probably.
maybe.
Anyway.
So
all
guys, time is everything.
Time up.
To me, time is a big thing. So let's go around
Brady,
and say your favorite song that has the word time in it. The lyric.
Gosh.
Or
I was thinking, when you said that, there's a lot of songs with time in it.
There is, isn't there? It's hard to think right now on the spot. Sorry, I put you guys on the spot.
You were singing Time After Time.
Yeah, I was thinking that was Cyndi Lauper.
That's the only one I could think of.
What's the Pink Floyd song? Time.
Oh, yeah. If I could put time in a bottle.
That's not Pink Floyd.
That's not Pink Floyd. No, that's, who's that? Anyways.
The times they are changing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I like that. There's a lot of good ones. So, managing time and...
Time's up, baby.
Yeah. Let's don't manage your time.
And if you're in the healthcare industry,
yeah,
start studying how to treat consumers and how to market to people and consumers.
Yeah,
because the days are coming where they're not just going to come to you; you're going to have to actually go to them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Amen.
Great. Good discussion. Did you when are you going to get your teeth polished? Did you have to reschedule?
No, I never. Well, I rescheduled for March, even though I was reluctant to reschedule at all because I don't know if I'm gonna.
You'd cancel it 2 days.
You're not gonna have. So you're gonna have dull teeth until then.
I don't know. I have just extra brush, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna write them an email and just say, hey, I paid full price, but they forgot to do this, and see if you can reimburse me or something. I don't know, or come back.
Come on in.
I don't really want to go back. To be honest.
After you did that, you're not going to go back.
Well, I should probably give him a second chance.
There you go.
Yeah, I should. That's part of my pride. I got to let down my pride. See, there's a lot of learning that's going on for me. I'm going to let down my pride. I'm going to go back and give him a second chance and see if, ask him, hey, did you fix any problems?
Yeah, did you do what I said?
Yeah. That's a good one. So anyways, till next time, guys.
All right. Like and review, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.